Well, hey folks, welcome back. Tim here, of course, Gamma Vidi, back in the garage. Excited today, brand new product for 2024. Still not done releasing products this year, by the way, but this one, you've never seen this one before. This is our new crossbar attachment bracket for the 2016 and up Lexus LX570 200 series. Finally solved this one. Can't wait to jump into it. Let's go. The background with this one, by request by a customer. So thanks, Mark, for your patience here. Can't wait to install yours in a bit. The LX570s, the newer ones, they are so nice, but they have that one shortfall, which is you have to remove the headliner to mess with the factory rack rails, which is a barrier to some people. I get it. That is a project and not everybody is up for that. So the alternative then is, how do we attach stuff to the actual rails themselves? I've got a pair of LX570 rails behind me that I purchased for this purpose, R&D. Now I know some people have gone to just drilling holes into the aluminum. It's working probably, and it's not how I wanted to do this. I knew I could come up with a clamp system that would work, and so that's what I've done. Let me show you how it works exactly. So we've mainly got two parts here. I've got the main plate where we have some hole patterns that will bolt to a variety of different extrusions. You know, our most common being the 1x2 or 40 millimeter aluminum profiles that we sell here. And then there's some clamps, so a little Z-shaped clamp that slides and is gonna do the squeezing. One thing to point out is some bend angles. It was neat to not just do everything at 90 degrees. You'll see this one has been overbent this way, and the clamps have even been overbent this way. So we kind of have a trapezoidal shape, so that the tighter you squeeze, it kind of pulls it down. And that's part of the design intent with this product. Let me show you why. So the rail here, this inside face is actually, it's not 90 degrees to a flat plane. It's actually undercut a little bit. So if I get the right angle. So in order to grab that, we needed to overbend that one tab. On the outside, we got a little bit of a lip here, and then again it starts to flare out the other way. So we really just wanted to catch that lip. So I kind of wanted some fingers. You know, if I imagine I'm climbing and I could just barely grab that hold, that's what we went for with the bracket here. So when that's installed, let me just advance this down a little bit. You can see the interface here. There we go. Of the bracket. There we go. Boom. There it is. So you can see that angle going that way, and then you can see the fingers going the other way to catch that lip. And yeah, this little guy's on there. So when you set these up the first time, you know, you'll start with this main bracket. You'll get a bunch of this rubber strip. This is to protect the finish on your rails. So you're gonna add that rubber strip to what will become the underside of the main bracket. Looks like that. And then you really want to be right up against these two ears here. On those ears, you're going to cut another piece, maybe 30 millimeters long, a little bit longer than an inch, and stick that down so that it looks like that. Put another one right here. It's basically how you set this guy up and get it ready for install. And then you'll have the little Z part where it looks like that, and you'll just grab a little 1-inch strip. I got another one here that already has it on there. I'll move it. And that's gonna go on what becomes that lower edge. So this actually is gonna be like this when it's on the truck. What matters here is that these edges line up, the rubber and the bracket, the little Z bracket, because it's that very bottom of this bracket that we're using to grab that little lip from before. So that's it. Just put, 3 stickers on there and good to go on all the pieces. Then you can start to pre-assemble everything. So you get two different bolt lengths. You're gonna get a 1 1/4 carriage bolt and a 3/4 carriage bolt, you know, both stainless obviously. The longer one, the 1 1/4, is gonna go into this Z bracket and slide into that square opening this way. So it looks like that. And then the shorter one, the 3/4, is going to go here. So the same surface that you put the rubber sticker on, you're gonna stick it up through that square right there. And that's gonna poke up like that. Then those two pieces, they interface like this. So that first needs to go into the hole like that. And let me just turn that around. There you go. So 1 1/4 is gonna go through both pieces. And then this guy will stay stationary, and that's what allows that little Z bracket to slide and clamp. And of course, you're gonna lock or load each one of these up with a washer, and then a lock washer, and then a nut. Put that nut on just far enough to where it doesn't fall off. Give yourself all this room for when you're doing the install. Don't worry, we'll crank it down later, but there you go. So the same thing goes for that little Z bracket, like that. So load these up, and when you're all done, you'll have a unit that looks kind of like this. Your next move then is to load up all of the extrusion hardware. In our case, we're gonna use the 1x2 extrusion. So we have a whole bunch of these, 1/4 20 weld nuts and the track nuts. So you take your little 3/4 inch bolt, load that guy up with a lock washer and washer, and that's going to poke up from what will become the underside of your bracket here. And then on top, you're just gonna gently thread that little track nut or weld nut. And again, just enough threads to get it started, just like that. So do that for kind of the 4 positions. But before we do that, I'm gonna mount one up here in the garage where we can flip the bar over and get a better look at what it all looks like assembled. One tip I'm gonna give you, with our crossbar kits, we're also giving you these little end caps. They go over the end, and then it has these little push-in plastic. There you are. These little plastic guys with the teeth on it. Hold that where you can see it. There you go. So that obviously goes in the hole and holds these in position. It's not really a one-time use thing, but it sure works better the first time. So my suggestion is do these last. Make sure everything is up on the truck, ready to go, and then maybe just before you drive away, oh yeah, let's put the end caps on. So that's gonna be a nice move. You're gonna be bummed if you put these in first and then you try to put those track nuts through, they're not gonna fit. So just a heads up there. Sliding the extrusion in, we got our track nuts lined up, and I intentionally put 2 nuts going one way to the other way relative to, there's a little raised, almost a burr of thread. They work both ways. I think they might work a little bit better in this orientation than in this orientation, but they both work. It's difficult though. I know people make drop-in track nuts, and I don't stock those. We don't make extrusion racks. Maybe that's a product that we get. If you have a suggestion of something you want us to stock, let me know. But I found that it's doable to slide them in this way. It's not like you have to do this all the time. You just kind of get one going, and then you get the other guy going, and whoops, a little screw fell out. I can fix that real quick. So just take your time with it. It's actually easier on the car where at least something is stable here with all these moving parts. A little trickier, but there you go. That's slid in there, and I can slide that all the way across and then interface it with the other side. So there you go. And here's what that looks like on the bottom. So, all 4 of those track nuts are secured. This crossbar is held tight to the bracket, and everything's buttoned up and ready to go. In doing that, one move I would not suggest is putting the nuts in there and then trying to find them with the bolts. Remember, that's going to be upside down. There's barely enough threads. You're not going to be able to find it. You're going to have a little L-shaped Allen wrench. it's going to be a challenge. So I know it's going to take a minute to do what we just did here, but at this moment, I think that's probably the best way to do this. Again, it's just a one-time setup, and then, you know, you're not going to really mess with these again. Once this is on, it's kind of the cooler part of this interface because we've mounted the crossbar both before and after the rail on both sides. So this bracket, it just can't twist. And if you thought about, well, what's gonna pull this off of there? How could it lift up? Well, remember, it's got an undercut on both sides. So you can't really twist it at all because of this. There's really nowhere for it to go. And I gotta tell you, this feels really, really solid. Gotta love those neighbor dogs. Anyway, we're gonna find out for sure when the truck rolls up, but you know, that was very intentional to mount it both before and after to prevent any twisting at all. So let's get a truck in here and see what happens. So quick update. I was unable to slide this extrusion all the way across. I kept losing one of these nuts. So what we decided to do instead is take the Z brackets off and just mock it up to where the distance between these two is about a ½ inch less than it's gonna be. Then we're gonna lift this up, set it on the rails, and then pull it back snug. And hopefully that works a little bit better. That worked a lot better. So took the Z brackets off, we set it up there, and then literally just like pulled back on the bracket to get it flush. And even with no hardware, the thing is stuck on there because it can't go anywhere. Remember, because of that reverse cut on there. So this is pretty sweet. So now we're ready to put the Z brackets on, get this front one snugged up, do the back. So here it is all buttoned up. What we did was we tightened these. We kind of finger tightened both sets of these because we wanted this Z bracket to be flat on top of the kind of the main plate here. But then we tightened these, and these are almost touching, which is kind of by design. Once they're tight, we're starting to overbend this angle, so you get a little spring tension here. It's really grabbing on that thing snugly. So tighten those, cranked these down, and then we snugged these guys. And I had to make a little wrench. I had to cut a wrench down for the inside ones there. So I'll give you a shot of that. Here's the magic wrench. Again, I just cut this down on the bench grinder, and that'll just barely make it to those guys. We got the second one on. These are 52-inch crossbars. So on the front, you can see we're right up at the edge of the bracket, which is, it looks sweet. In the back, we've got maybe 3/4 of an inch of an overhang here. So just keep that in mind when you're ordering these. I wouldn't go less than 52, maybe 53, 54 if you liked a little bit of an overhang, but the reality is these are gonna be perfect. So again, we got everything finger tight. We're tightening these, and then we'll tighten these, and then I'm final crank on all 4 of those. One more shot as we're pretty much there. Here are these stretching across. Everything looks cool. A couple of extra holes. So these here were intended to allow you to drill into this rail and add either threaded tapped threads or a riv nut, with the idea that you're really committed to your location, and beyond the clamping force and beyond the anti-twist to hold these on, you wanted to just, you know, triple down on the attachment here. That's what those were for. The outer holes, you know, it's hard for me to make a plate and not put a hole in it. The idea was maybe I want to put a light off of here, or possibly an antenna. Both of these are at a 3-inch hole spacing, so if you wanted to do a huge extrusion or maybe even 2 extrusions there, you have that option. That's what that looks like. So really sweet. And then one more attachment, of course, our traction board brackets. Not many people notice, but they actually have the side holes, and that is so that they can go on the side of these and be planar with the crossbar. So if you ever wanted to add action tracks, max tracks, etc., that is the intent there. So all buttoned up, got everything clean, looks great. Got the end caps on there. And these, you know, don't say it. I don't think that's going anywhere. Pay attention. Obviously make good choices when you modify your vehicle. You might have noticed these are pushed kind of far forward, and that's because This customer is going to put a roof box on, and we need that back clearance so that the the wing here doesn't hit the box. We've all been there. So that's what that, if you're doing a tent, you might have put this a little bit further back. Of course, an awning only, you might have spread them out a little bit more, but hey, they're your crossbars. Obviously, you can change it as your needs change as well. And there you go. Crossbars on a 16 and up Lexus LX570, installed, working, feels pretty solid. Customer is psyched, so can't wait to see pictures of that one out there. And I really appreciate your time. Thanks for sticking with me on this one today. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.